Hello learners, I welcome you all to the last segment of lecture number 34. We've been discussing Marian Ungoleb and Reinhard Ungoleb versus Costa Rica case. So in this segment, I will be discussing about two claims that were made by the claimants. That the claimant stated that there was violation of full protection and security clause, and the claimant also stated that there was violation of non-impairment clause. Right. So non-impairment clause we'll also discuss in detail when we talk about the plea of necessity. So basically, non-impairment clause goes something like this. It will the provision will state that the contracting party should not impair the administration or use or any benefit from the investment for the investors in an unreasonable or a discriminatory manner. So since the obligation that is put on the host state is no impairment, so therefore this provision, at least I call it as non-impairment. I don't know if it is popularly referred to as non-impairment clause. I think I start calling it as non-impairment clause pursuant to one of the Argentina cases. So there the tribunal used the term non-impairment clause. Okay, so coming back to the facts of this case. So here the claimant had alleged there was a violation of non-impairment clause which was given in the Costa Rica Germany BIT. So what did they say with regard to the non-impairment clause? So claimant stated that there was discrimination that was done by Costa Rica. How? Because there was one trust, Leatherback Trust, and the trust was a non-governmental organization, and they were working towards the the life and health of leatherback turtles. So they wanted to protect the nesting sites of leatherback turtles. All of that was their motto or objective. And this particular non-governmental organization also had a property near the beach. So the claimant's contention was the property of Leatherback Trust was not expropriated, and there were some other private owners. So 40% of the properties were held by some other private owners. Their property was not expropriated. So there is discrimination in the expropriation process itself. That is what they stated. That violated the non-impairment clause of Costa Rica Germany BIT. So to that, Costa Rica replied that we have certain priorities when it comes to expropriating the property. So we will also expropriate the properties of those private owners as well at a certain point of time, right, after expropriating this. So the tribunal also stated that for discrimination to be established, either there should be intent to discriminate or the measure should have a discriminatory effect. Either of these should be available. That is when we will say that there's been discrimination and that violates the non-impairment clause. So now here what the tribunal stated was, even when Leatherback Trust property was there, actually the Leatherback Trust was also working with the government in order to establish the park, in order to protect the nesting sites of leatherback turtles. So they had the same objective and they were in fact working with the government also. So that is why the tribunal drew a distinction between why Leatherback Trust property was not expropriated and their property was expropriated, because their objective and the park's objective was essentially the same. And even with regard to the other private owners, the tribunal stated that there can be reasonable justification for discriminatory treatment also. And in this case, what Costa Rica says with regard to its priority, then that amounts to reasonable justification. So the tribunal held that there was no violation of the non-impairment clause, because he accepted Costa Rica's contention that there could be different priorities. One was that. And if we also look at the other claim, that is there was a violation of full protection and security standard, that is the FPS standard. So here the claimant stated that from the 2005 Amparo petition, from 2008 Amparo petition, there's been years that there was delay, and that amounted to years, and even with regard to administrative decisions there was so much of delay. That is what they claimed that to be violative of the full protection and security clause of the BIT. So what we see here in the context of the tribunal's decision is that the tribunal stated that for an investor to claim a violation of FES standard, that it should show that there was a causal link between between a measure and actual harm to the investor. So here the tribunal stated that on the facts of the case, the claimant was not able to show an actual harm. Even when there were delay, there was no other proof with regard to that there was corruption or impropriety or some other way in which that had caused the delay. So that could not be shown. So the tribunal stated that the claimant was not able to show the actual harm to the investment. So therefore, this is also not a violation of FPS clause as well. This is how all the cases with regard to the merits of the case went. So once this was decided, immediately the tribunal went ahead to decide the cost that would be paid to the investor. With regard to the cost, Costa Rica raised an interesting objection, saying that the tribunal should not determine the cost because the matter was pending before the local courts and the appropriate forum for determining the quantum of compensation is actually the local forum. But then the tribunal stated that the matter has been pending for so long before the local forum, so therefore they will go ahead and decide the cost. And the cost also, they did not calculate it based on direct expropriation. Rather, the cost was calculated based on Chazo Factory's ratio, and then they also awarded interest based on US Treasury bonds interest rates. So that is how the tribunal also awarded the cost. I mean, personally, if you ask my opinion about this case, I would say the tribunal should not have ordered Chazo Factory. I mean, there is delay and all of that, but then this was in effect the expropriation was done for a public purpose. So if we look at the quantum of compensation of Chazo Factory level compensation has been awarded, then I would I would like you to remember what we discussed in the third week of the course with regard to regulatory chill and all of those concepts. So then I think in the first few lectures itself we discussed about the concepts regulatory chill. So this could contribute to the fact of regulatory chill because of a huge amount of compensation is paid. So probably the tribunal could have appreciated the public purpose of the measure and could have awarded a compensation that had to be paid for direct expropriation. So that is something that's my personal opinion, of course. So with this, I will conclude our discussion on Marin Ungoleb and Reinhard Ungoleb versus Costa Rica case. We will meet again with one other decided cases. So if we appreciate how the environmental disputes or investment disputes that involve an environmental measure, we can come out with effective and concrete suggestions for reconciling environmental principles within the field of international investment law. That is why I've decided to spend much time to discuss the cases in detail, because if we only discuss the ratio, we cannot appreciate how the decisions were applied to the peculiar facts of the case. That's precisely the reason we are undertaking an extensive exercise of discussing the measure and why the tribunal took such a decision and whether that is something that goes in favor of reconciling environmental principles within the international investment law. So I hope you also do understand these cases in this manner, right? So I will conclude our discussion here for the Marin Ungoleb lecture, and we will meet again with one other decided cases. Thank you.